All right. And yes. Greetings. Welcome back to Blackberry. How y'all doing? Um, there is like nobody in the YouTube chats. It seems kind of weird. Is something going on? Or another. Seems a little odd. There's usually like a whole group of people in the YouTube chats already. But anyways. Welcome. How you doing? What's going on? Glad to have you back. Glad to see y'all. A bunch of people. So let's do some housekeeping, I guess. You got here 6 minutes ago and it was empty. That's so weird. Very strange. Well, maybe it's because I put up the show late. That might be it. That might explain it. I posted the show. I posted it like 15 minutes. But there's static thing. Let me know. Give me a second. All right. That should be better. I don't know why it does that. It's really frustrating. It's probably because I posted the show kind of late. Now I'm assuming that's what it is. Yes, Denver. The painting is actually an AI painting. The doll from Dolly. Of, speak no evil, or hear no evil in the style of Van Gogh, something like that. I can't remember what the exact words were. I did it like weeks ago. Yes, this is turning into one of my favorite shirts. Although, if it looks like, so I actually haven't really told anybody what's going on. Is the sound okay now? Oh, so anyways, the inside of my house is being painted, and my life is in utter turmoil because if you know what moving is like, moving is kind of sucks, but it's like moving but staying inside of your house at the same time. So it's like that. It's like moving but staying inside of your house. So, and this has been going on for several days, but it will go on for several more days. So it was like all right when it was like in the front couple of rooms, but now it's in the rooms that I inhabit and use all the time, and so I'm like, I haven't had a shower today. I don't know when I'm going to have a shower. I'm probably yeah, things are going to be weird for the next at least more than a week, for at least another until like December 18th. I got to tell you guys, my life is going to be in utter turmoil for the next I don't know how many days, 9 days or so. So I'm going to try and do the shows and keep on schedule, but if I'm late or if I miss a show, don't be surprised because things are like seriously all over the place. And I didn't really tell anybody that's what's going on in my life, but that is what's going on in my life. And so bunch of people have been emailing me in the last week, and I apologize. I apologize to all the people that are emailing me. I'll try and get back to you, but I just don't know. It's just not happening. Okay. I'm doing my best to just keep like the main basic things going in my life right now. So I'll try to answer emails, but if um, I'll try. I'll try. I'll try and do my best to answer emails. It's just not. It hasn't been. Anyways, yeah, it's because I didn't. Obsolete says I never got the notification that you'd be going live in 30 minutes because I set up the show. Because it was really hard for me to actually. I had, all these other things to do this morning, and I was trying my best to set up the show, and I couldn't even do it until like 20 minutes before the show. I like your comment, TCR Galaxy. It's funny because we'll just start talking about random things. Oh, well, first of all, here's some more housekeeping I got to do. I did get some after hours tips last night, so thank you to Kevin Shanholzer. Said, "Let's Start a War" was by The Exploited. All right, man, I'm forgetting my punk rock bands. I used to go see The Exploited at God dang it was in downtown LA. Man, it was a long time ago when I was like 16 years old. Fender's Ballroom. No, that was in Long Beach. Different ballroom. It was another place. Oh god, I can't remember that. It was in downtown LA, and The Exploited used to play there all the time. And I used to go down there and see punk rock shows. Anyways. So Kevin Shanholzer, thanks for the tip. John House gave me a tip. Thanks for the tip, John House. Good ways to support the show are on rockfin.com, buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews, Patreon/blackbearnews. You can super chat me on YouTube, all those things. All right. But I was going to say, it's funny, it's just funny when people talk about being like anti-human or Malthusian or whatever. People take the standpoint that like, humans are really cool, basically really cool and all good. We're just basically all good. If it wasn't for the bad people that control everything, I don't, not so much. I'm not saying that humans are all basically bad, but just look at our track record. It's funny because I hear people mention this all the time, like kind of as an aside. Like it's just an assumed fact that humans are kind of destructive and kind of fuck ups and kind of just, sorry for my language. Humans just kind of do dumb shit, individually and as a collective, and we try and do our best. And there's a lot of, good humans out there trying to do their best. Gosh darn it. But man, humans, we got a lot to work on. And I think everybody knows that. I was listening to another podcast, and, they generally take the stance of like, oh, they want to make it our fault, climate change. So they think that humans are bad and blah, 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 blah. But, they were actually talking about, I'll give it away maybe. They were talking about dinosaurs. If dinosaurs were still alive and when humans were alive. And, basically, I don't know. There are a lot of different ideas, but somebody said, well, we did away with most of the large mammals already. We did away with most of the large mammals already, right? So that's a track record for you of human beings. And that wasn't like, oh, the evil people did it. Oh, the people at the top did it. No, it was just humans together. Right. It's a fairly ridiculous idea, TCR. Yeah. No, humans all together. We all together did the bad, right? We all together destroyed most of the large mammals on the planet. And we would probably take out all the large predators on the planet. We did that for a long time until we realized, oh, yeah, if we do that, if we keep going down this road, okay, there, here's an example of humans kind of putting on the brakes a little bit, but we're still can't really put on the brakes. If we keep on doing that, it's going to be very bad things for the planet, right? You can't wipe out all the super predators. You can't wipe out all of the rhinos and the elephants and the giraffes and the foxes and the wolves and the sharks. If you do that, and the whales, if you do all that, that's bad times. So, but again, this person has, it's funny. You just hear contradicting things from people that's like, oh, they're trying to make humans bad. But then there's this kind of assumption and like an acknowledgement by most humans that like, well, the human race is kind of has a track record of doing crappy things, of destroying wildlife or destroying the planet or just messing it all up. And that ain't the elites, people. Back in the day, slavery and doing horrible things to each other as punishment, right? And that was everybody. That wasn't just like, oh, the white people did it or those people did it. No, everybody did it. Everybody kept slaves. Everybody chopped off people's heads. Everybody pulled people apart or, found interesting and new ways to destroy each other. That's humans. That is human beings. We're kind of evolving a little bit here and there. Kind of. We're a little nicer to each other, and that's good. That's fine. But on the whole, and there is no like, oh, well, if only the elites would stop messing everything up, then the good people and all the regular people would just take over and do. No, they wouldn't. Of all the good people and the regular people that are left, somebody would go, you know what? I think we need a president. I think we need a king. I think we need somebody to run this joint. And then they'd start doing the bad. The oppressed become the oppressors. That is also the history of humans. Can we evolve? Can we evolve into doing better before we really mess it all up? I don't know. Has yet to be seen, right? Because where are we going? Into the worst, the worst possibilities, the worst possible end for humans. That's where we're going. The worst possible end for humans, and it ain't just the rich people on the airplanes that did it. It's all the private jetters. They did it. No. Sorry. Yeah, it was a collective effort. And it's kind of, I guess that's kind of the idea for the title of the video. Not necessarily the idea for we're going to try and do a little panel discussion. Not necessarily. I don't know how that's going to work, but not necessarily. It's a collective effort, y'all. We did this, and it is an unspeakable thing, right? To a lot of people, that we are going to a very bad place because of stuff that we did collectively. That doesn't mean like, who are you going to kill first? Who are you going to take out first? I'm Malthusian. I'm a eugenicist. I'm a blah, 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 boop, bap. I'm a racist. I'm a pop. No, I am a realist. I see what human nature has done to the planet. I see what humans have done to the planet. It's not like it's those people. So that's the thing. It's just as dumb to say like, Oh, well, if they, if only there's people in the poor countries would stop having babies. No, that's stupid. That's a dumb thing to say. But it's just as stupid to say, well, if only these elites and the people in the military industrial complex would stop doing the things that the Jew, then everything. No, that's stupid. That is a stupid thing to say. It's ignorant. It is ignorant. But it certainly is, gets viewers and it sells, t-shirts and it does, you know what I mean? Whatever. Gets you clicks and likes and stuff. Because nobody wants to hear that they might be part of a collective that's kind of shitty. Nobody wants to hear that. It's not a very popular message. Take it from me. I know. Anyways. Yes, TCR. Cognitive dissonance is a hell of a thing. Right. Hold on. What? Denver says, my Saudi buddy told me if people sold what is labeled as honey in the USA as honey in his home again, they would cut your hand off. Jeez. And guess what? We think that we're so cool and nice to each other, like in the Western countries, but we, do really horrible things to people in other countries in order to sustain the lifestyle that all the people in the Western countries enjoy. And some people, like to point that out, but most people don't really even have a problem with it. Most people are like, don't you stop that gravy train. Don't you stop me having all the things. You don't stop that. If you talk about stopping that, they want to take away your cars. If you talked about, you're crazy. You are crazy. You're bad. You're a commie. All right. Some people are getting here. I'm sorry for posting the show so late. That's my bad. That's my fault. There's a huge heat wave in South America with temperatures up to 46°C. Town of Tartagal in Argentina with 43°C broke its December record. Oh, what? Are we breaking temperature records again? Ice Age Farmer. Are we breaking temperature records again? Climate is always changing. Oh, this, all the truth is out there. Get out there. Yeah, it reached this temperature back in 1943. See? That's all you got? That's it? That's all you got? It's a not a popular message that humans might be responsible for the big end. But that's hot. That's very hot. So some more temperature records falling, possibly falling in Santiago del Estero, Las Lomitas, Oran, etc. Very, very hot in South America. Heating up. And look where our fossil fuel emissions are going up. They're going up too. Of course, that's not doing anything to the planet. We're just breaking, temperature records every day. Shh. Don't tell anybody. Mum's the word. Keep telling humans they're really cool. Keep telling humans everything's going to be okay. Keep telling people, humans that, this is all made up by the, Council of Foreign Relations and the Rockefellers. Keep telling people that. It's super popular. These messages are incredibly popular. Why? Because it's a really super awesome distraction. Super awesome distraction as everything goes up in flames. You know, stay distracted, I guess. Stay distracted uh, for as long as it gets you somewhere, right? Or a couple of bucks, or good gig, or whatever. Stay distracted. Yeah. So there were a couple of dips after a crisis. Emissions tend to rebound. Rebound meaning go up even farther. We were wrong, says Glenn Peters. Some of us thought the fossil CO2 emissions were nearing a peak. The dynamics were there, coal to gas and renewables, but they just seem to keep going up, even with the help of COVID. What are the forces that keep pushing emissions up? What are the forces? They keep on going. We can't even, I'm not even going to be able to read this. Anyways, I don't give money to many news outlets. I mean, come on. You all can't. If you're asking people to pay for your news, that means that you don't need advertisers, and therefore you can be free to do your jobs, like, and tell people what the actual news is. But they seem to not be able to do that. I'd pay for a Substack subscription before I do, and I did. I don't know if I do any right now, but I would pay for a Substack subscription before I'd pay for a Washington Post subscription. So, not reading that one. Sorry. Anyways, I mean, this graph kind of says it all. First oil crisis, bam. Second oil crisis, bam. Up it goes. Up it goes. Global financial crisis, it was down 1.4%, one of the biggest drops ever in emissions. Bam. I mean, went up even at a steeper rate. COVID, then probably the biggest drop in emissions, and I don't know, historical in a long time, right? Since they've been tracking emissions, and then whammo, going up. We're not that far out of the pandemic, but you can see where it's going. You see where the graph is going. It is going up. Creative Experiments says sweet fracked oil. Yeah. Back to office sure increased emissions. Yeah. Oh, everybody was like, I can't wait to go back to Earth and back to Earth. Go back to work and go on vacations again and go to all the things. Man, let me add it. And I know, for a lot of people, lockdowns were bad, and the general consensus is that lockdowns were bad and bad for people and didn't make people happy and not necessarily great, and obviously, not financially great for people. And so, I have a mixed take on lockdowns, but I have to tell you, when the pandemic started and lockdowns happened, and there was nobody out on the freeways or on the roads or anywhere, I was just like, ooh, this is great. I can breathe. I don't feel that just maddening. I live in Los Angeles, of course. I just don't feel the maddening crush of, let's go, let's do the things, do the things, do the things. It was kind of cool. It was kind of awesome. That part. All right, Joseph, I see you. And also, we'll end. I'll stop right here for now. At what price to the environment and ecology? Michael O'Leary has been given. I don't know who Michael O'Leary is. Is he the head of Ryanair? Extra 4 years to secure 100 million euros, a bonus after Ryanair agreed to another extension to its long-serving boss's contract. So aviation growth is going up, or emissions. Going up in the EU. And they care so much about climate change that they're, oh, you guys couldn't see that. They care so much about climate change that they're putting farmers out of business and stuff. Right? They're buying out farm, we can't have all this nitrogen and stuff. But God forbid you shut down any airports. We can't have that. We cannot have that. Oh no. No. Denver says the other side of the coin in lockdown is that since everyone was home 24/7, peak demand for electricity in households became longer. Sure. And everybody was online. Online. Okay. I'm going to take this call from Joseph. And I don't know, you guys want to try and get in here? Several of you, or do you guys care? I thought we were going to do a panel on something. It's all good. Things are kind of...
I'm here.
Hey, what's going on, Joseph?
Hello. So I was assuming that there are other... When it lists people that are in there, it doesn't mean they're on the call.
No.
I guess.
But I can invite them to speak. Here, I'm inviting everybody to speak. I don't know if they can... I don't know if they can all...
Maybe everybody's
I'm just trying this. I'm just trying this out. It's fine. I'm trying this out. I'm trying it out. I've got... Timothy, wait, hold on, William. I invited you to speak. So Timothy can speak. There you go. William's a speaker and Timothy's a speaker. And you guys can go ahead, I think, if you unmute yourself.
Well, I motivated from the last article you were talking about, where is all the emissions coming from? And it's industry and it's the oceans. If we shut down today, the oceans are going to exhaust everything we've been stuffing in them, for 200,000 years to a point of equilibrium. So it's kind of a moot point when they do their measurements without actually involving the back pressure of the mass load of the oceans. And I know Jim Massa talks about that and some other oceanographers do, but few climate scientists actually touch that.
Right.
That I've ever.
Well, that's another form of, I guess, like another form of aerosol masking, because, right?
That's the evil twin.
Because
yes,
if they weren't being forced to uptake all the CO2, they would release the CO2 that they have taken up for the last several decades, right?
That's the real aerosol. That's the secret masking, right? The energy that they think is going into space, on the way their atmospheric guys look at it, is literally pumping that stuff into the ocean at an increasing rate the more material they have available, which makes perfect sense with thermodynamics. And it's part of everybody's got this mass delusion going on in their own special corner of the world. I have my own problems,
Sure. Don't we all?
Yeah. How do you... We're all in these little corners, it seems like, where there's the vaccine people and they're married to different beliefs that get them there. And I don't know. I was hoping that the panel would, because we're all pieces of that. And I listened to us talk, and most of us see the climate with our eyes the same. The understanding of it is where we have differences. I mean, in your particular channel.
Yeah.
And we have a basic similarity. It's just, how far do they want to go to give up civilization or whatever religion, for
well, maybe that's the only thing we have left. I don't know. Hey, William, can you say something so I can know if I can hear you?
Yeah. How you doing, guys?
All right. You're on too. Okay, cool. It worked. The other thing I guess I don't know is if somebody wants to be a speaker, if they want to raise their hand. I saw some people pop up, and I don't know what happened to them. A couple people popped up in the listener, that I know are usually watch the show and listen to the show. So I don't know if they wanted to speak too, but they popped up and popped out. I don't know what happened there. Anyways, um, I don't know. What do you think, William?
Well, I just invited all my followers. Maybe we'll get some more folks showing up. Hakeem is a great person uh, to
I see
have
Hakeem.
come on up. He has the time.
Okay, cool. I don't know. Also, one more thing. I don't know if you're a listener, if you can raise your hand to speak or something like that. Sorry if I'm not. I just invited Hakeem. So sorry.
Well, if you're a listener, you can call in. You know what I mean? Like Joseph just did, and you can accept the call. But I don't think there's anything more a listener can do that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I don't see any options here at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to know. Well, I invited Hakeem to speak, but then he disappeared. Okay.
Yeah, I
Who
saw
knows?
that.
All right.
Maybe busy.
All good.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I mean, I guess like part of I guess we're talking about kind of what I didn't get a chance to get into yesterday, which is like risk assessment. That was the title of yesterday's show, and this happens to me all the time. Well, I'll title a show, but I'll end up talking about something completely different, or that generally like because the topic tends to shift through the show towards other things. I didn't really actually get. We're talking about where we're going and where how much hot water are we in, and is there any way out? I don't know. That one that the thing that Joseph just brought up about the thing that Joseph just brought up about the aerosol emissions coming out of the CO2 coming out of the oceans. If we stopped emitting fossil fuel emissions now, right? There's several things would happen if fossil fuels stopped on a dime. Several things would happen, right? Like you'd lose the aerosol masking that would force the planet to heat up pretty quickly. Then you'd lose the uptake of CO2 from the oceans, and they would just in turn start spewing out CO2 that they had, because they're overloaded. And
Well,
then you just have a lot of people just beat out. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people would die because if you stop fossil fuels tomorrow, you can't support 8 billion people with organic farming. It wouldn't happen. It's just not going to happen. Right? You'd lose a lot of food pretty quickly. And heat and AC. So, right. I don't know. So, I mean, it paints a pretty dire picture.
does that inspire people to do something or not to do something? I guess.
There was a recent study that said that the rose-colored view of climate change was actually inspiring people to just, not care. So,
Like kicking the can down the road.
Mm-hmm. And even though it's really harsh, I don't actually see people on a large scale actually talking about this particular issue. Like, I don't see people actually talking about how bad it is and will be, right? Because people on the whole can't live in that space and can't function in that space, and it's very difficult for people to take in and take on. And so,
And even if they did, what would they do with it? That's really the point, right? What could they do right now if they're supporting a family? I don't have an answer for that.
Right, I don't either. I don't either. And I experienced that on my own, in my own life, right? Where it's like, I understand what's going on. I see what's going on, and I do my very best every day to like do a little better. by the planet, but I'm a prisoner of this civilization on some levels, on many levels.
I don't think there's a life on Earth that isn't, one way or another.
Right. Like, where do you go? What do you do? What do you? There are there, and don't get me wrong. There are lots of people. There are lots of people that watch my channel. Lots of people out there who understand and are moving towards a different way of life. Who understand the issue and are like, all right, that's it. I'm moving off grid. I'm moving out of the city. I'm doing. I'm gonna grow my food. Gonna do the things right. There are lots of people doing that. And
8 billion
kudos.
can't do that, though.
But 8 billion people cannot do that. No, they can't.
Right. So the truth is,
and for all
there are going to be bad times.
Right. Unfortunately, and I wonder if somebody will do a study or find a metric where, like for every person that moves out of the city and goes off grid and grows their own food, like by what number does the population of said city increase, right? Like how many people are born compared to how many people are like, I'm out of here. I'm out of civilization. I'm doing my own thing. I'm living off the grid. I'm living my own life, right?
That's the economy of expansion and growth, reproductive wise and consumption wise, far outweighs any number of people moving off grid. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's
so
yeah. Well, can I add a couple thoughts? I think
go for it.
It's bigger than any one of us, obviously. And if we're talking about pollution and environmental degradation, of course, our U.S. military is responsible for more than half of what happens. As far as all kinds of fossil fuel burning, petrochemical pollution, you name it. And that's not shrinking, which is unfortunate. We just see that imperialism expanding with the Ukraine-Russian conflict and NATO wanting to expand. And what do we have, 1,000 military bases around the world? I've heard different numbers. But so I think we all know that, and we see how the World Economic Forum, and it's a real thing. The NGOs working together with their agenda, which I think, hi, Joseph, I know everybody in the room is on top of that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Regarding genetically modified foods and more chemicals being used, Bill Gates and co. Same thing with pharma. So I think it's overwhelming for a lot of people. And I don't know that even if the majority of the 90%ers, 63 of which 3% are living paycheck to paycheck, if we can really make an impact. But I think we got to, what else is there to do? Kev and Joseph, what I mean by that is I only can control what I do day in and day out, and with my purchasing power, for example, what products I buy, what I put in my body, what I put on my body, what I might do to try and make my living environment more energy efficient. Same thing with however I choose which form of transportation, et cetera, et cetera. And I have no control over any of the rest of it. And to be honest with you, most people I talk to aren't interested, right. Except for this group I'm calling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That are. That's why we're here. I don't know if humanity can be saved. I really think, as Joseph said, we're in for some very challenging times, and the animal plant kingdom and insects, as we see that already.
Here's a question.
On the other hand, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, finish your thought. I'll ask you a question.
I've always chose to try in my own world, and I've discussed some of those things with people so that inexpensive things we can do where we live if we have a property, Kev. I've talked about the vent-free vent area that can be improved, the venting of an attic, and how that can help keep your house cooler in the summertime, especially at night. And then we talked about awnings, remember, and certain windows, how the old windows used to open at the top to let the heat out.
Right.
So there's things we could do within our lives, um, and that can help reduce our energy costs or our bills, and the cost benefit analysis of that usually works out pretty fast with the things I've mentioned, as opposed to other expensive options. So the first step. Um, but it is daunting, isn't it? I mean, looking out at everything and seeing it just continue to spiral in the wrong direction. I sometimes, to be honest with you guys, I don't know about you all, but I think we're all tied into this great universe and energy that keeps it all around and together. And sometimes my heart just aches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Call it general depression, but I think it's just, as we're all energetic, and we're tied into the source of life on some level. And sometimes what people consider depression is really just us being in tune with the greater suffering that's going on around the world. How could you not see it, but also not feel it? You know?
Well,
Right.
So,
that's probably what underlies every horror in every civilization that's ever been, is
mhm,
exactly that separation and anxiety over it.
yeah,
I absolutely. I mean, Alan Watts, Krishnamurti, some physicists, guru people talk about that.
yeah,
Even Socrates, the cave, allegory of the cave.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Was that Socrates or Plato? Plato's cave?
That was Socrates.
Oh, was it?
Plato was his student, and he wrote it as though he were Guillermo, the character
Ah,
in the
I got
story.
it. Okay. That's funny because it's always referred to as Plato's cave.
It's because he penned it. Socrates really wasn't a writer. Plato wrote most of the stuff Socrates said.
Yeah.
From what I understand, I don't know if anyone actually knows, Kevin. It was a long time ago.
Right, right. Well, that's interesting though. I've never heard it referred to as Socrates cave. But that man, that makes sense though, because Socrates was onto something there, right? Socrates.
He was the character talking to Plato or
Yeah.
Guillermo
Uh-huh.
in Plato's cave.
Right.
So it was supposed to be Plato writing his own manuscript of his experiences and knowledge with Socrates or after Socrates. But it was still Socrates that told him about the cave
Mm.
before he wrote
Yeah.
it. I don't know.
No, that I mean
Which alludes
that makes sense.
the verbal stories of the Hebrews, kind of the same kind of thing, and we turn
Right.
it into a writing that everybody adheres to the meaning of the word of the time rather than the story that it came from. I think there's a lot to be said for those kinds of things.
What do we do since we're in a, what do you guys think the best thing to do in a predicament is just, just enjoy yourself, and do you do it in a hedonistic way or just try to do no harm? You just write it out. What do? Do you try to whittle away around the edges? And I mean, because let's go. I mean, we're talking about historical figures here and old ancient texts and whatnot. And it's like, and this is something that I've always thought and known since I was very small, which is that all these wise words and these wise men and these texts and these biblical texts and these historical texts and all these philosophers and thinkers, none of them could actually stop humanity from going in the trajectory that we're going. It just never has amounted to like anything. You know what I mean? You could have these earth-shattering revelations and oh my God, and the best book ever and the best, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because 80% of humanity is going to live on a low vibrational level, on a survival level. And I don't know what the percentages are, right? And like 20% of the people are going to be like a little higher, higher on an intelligence or vibrational level. I don't know how to not say it and not, piss some people off, but that's just how it is. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. It's and that doesn't mean it's like every, that's just what it is. That's the distribution of whatever, a consciousness, like some people just
But is that
operate
a product of
some people
environment?
operate at a higher consciousness and some people not so much. And all of the wise men of the world and all of the religions of the world have tried to bring all of humanity into this higher consciousness and just you're going to get the same distribution of like, there's a bunch of people that are just living life for the next meal and living life for the next day. And there's some people that are like, maybe there's something more. Maybe we should do something different, I don't know. Is there any really hope to even, right? Like, is humanity going to evolve? Is that even worth hoping for?
Well, in the end, aren't you back to the square one where you say, well, either we take the people, those that are vibrating at the higher frequency, if that's, sorry if that pisses someone off,
Right.
and put them in the community, put yourselves in the community and screw everyone else and let them all drown on the ocean side. And then you got to live with that decision. And you would never know that they couldn't awaken if you showed them something better. I don't know. I'm just,
Right.
it's pokers in the fire. I'm of a mind after going through some of the same things everyone's talking about in your chats, to whatever degree, that if you don't talk to them, even if you do go sequester yourself and build something wonderful, you're just as likely to get mowed over by them or the environment anyway.
Right.
And then on top of that, you were a selfish prick for going away and trying to survive and not tell anyone how to.
Or who are you
I
to
don't
think
know.
that you're better than us, or that better than those people, or better than
Right.
I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what. Again, it always takes me back to the idea that like there's no. If you try to take steps to like raise the bar for humanity, you end up right. Like a lot of people will just say
Hundreds wheels.
nobody. A lot of people will be like, nah, that's some
Yeah.
bull. No, what is this elitist idea? What is this communist? What whatever it might be, socialism, communism, blah 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 blah. It's But if you go, well, if you're like, well, it's just a free for all, freedom, right? What does freedom lead to? People doing really horrific stuff, eventually, right? Like, again, it goes back to that, that's the thing is like, yeah, freedom is awesome, but there is a point, right? You're not like, well, go ahead and murder people. No, you'd never go like, that's fine. Go ahead and rape people. No, you'd never say that. You'd never go like, freedom. Well, but don't rape people, okay? Right? We're going to throw you in jail if or light somebody's house on fire while they're in it. Like, don't do that, right? So that's not, there is a limit. There is a limit. There is a limit. There's absolutely a limit. So it's like, well, where's that line? Where's the line of freedom? Where's the line of freedom?
No, you're on to something, because this is a definite problem, and it's part of that disparity and separation. So what's good and what's bad, and what's moral and what's not moral.
Well,
and
you can extend
law,
that.
does any line?
Right. Keep going.
Right?
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No line would get away with doing any of those things that you just. The other lines would kill it.
Right.
If one line decides I'm going to go kill all your children, the other lines would go, oh no, you're not. And
right.
that's natural law. Virtually every life is going to protect its young and its own family and its own colony. And we all do that, and tribes do that, but they don't go digging up each other's earth or cutting down each other's forests. That's what they don't do. So everything you said is kind of turned inside out from nature to civilization. Because we've already burned everybody's house down by building our houses. And then we attach these laws on top of that to structure as moral what to do, what not to do, and we've already committed the basic immorality underneath it just to get there.
Right.
And you have to write that before you can even get to the conversation, I think, inside yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, face it inside yourself to write it.
Sure.
And isn't that the disparity between this group that you have and the people at the grocery store on average?
Right. I mean,
sorry.
Yeah, it's just it's like interesting conversation. I've got like 18 things going through my head right now. But or what about what so you don't have the freedom to do horrible things to each other, right? But
Whether there's laws or not.
but do you have the freedom to be to operate at a lower consciousness? Like, how about that? How about extending? Do you have the freedom to be stupid?
There you go, man.
And some people might say no, because, like, well, let's say you kill somebody by negligence. That's kind of like killing somebody by being stupid or not being responsible or being unaware.
So
you kind of don't, So it's like, well, then how can you actually apply that to other things? Like, I don't know.
That's environment. So in nature, there's no mechanism for you to be beyond. So you can only be so stupid in nature. If you don't have tools,
something called the Darwin Awards.
That's right. But the more tools you have available to you, the bigger the stupid potential is.
Yes, magnification of stupid, because right, exactly, right. And so we have this huge behemoth of technological civilization, and we have a lot of stupid driving that. Right, there's Absolutely. A lot of people out there that are like, I got a car, I got a house, I got a thing, I got I got all this stuff. I am very powerful in my stupid, with my stupid. So we're 8 billion, of stupid.
Stupid is strong with us.
I'm sure there are people that would be just aghast at our conversation right now. But anyways, I'm sure there would be a lot of people.
William, what do you say?
Well, I think innate.
No, you're good.
I think innate in every one of us is, and even animals I've owned, is a sense of consciousness on some level of what it is to be loved and to love. And when we go against that, I think some people are more sensitive to it than not, about how that affects others and ourselves, environment. And so perhaps it's considering that, I have to talk about it I believe in energies on a spiritual level, good and bad, and I do believe in an afterlife, and I think incarnation, but maybe I won't have to come back to planet Earth. Maybe a different planet out in the universe. Who knows? But or a different, energetic realm. The point I'm trying to get at is, I don't think we're ever going to be able to fix it. Like Kevin said, you look back over the thousands of years of recorded civilization, there's a cycling. And we see tremendous, unbelievable accomplishments in ancient Egypt, things that we can't imagine. How did they build that? How did they move those megalithic stones over 100 kilometers and get them here, there, wherever? And just, it's crazy, isn't it? When we look at the technology, some people say Giza is actually a power generator. I don't know, built over an aquifer. Right. What I'm trying to say is, human consciousness, I think, cycles, like in the Yuga cycles every 4,000 years, through cycles of higher consciousness and lower consciousness. And this place is really a place it's like school for the soul. And if I see in that context, then all I can do is come in, try and become aware, get out of my younger stupor, you know what I mean? No. I was just tending bar and dancing and drinking and, doing whatever. And then try and do something different as I become aware of it, and then share it. I think that's why we're all here on Callin. I think everybody here, we're drawn together by the sense of love in our hearts and consciousness. And that's why we're talking. And that's why we're like, we're all hurting on some level, I think, seeing what's going on all around us. You see what I mean? And by communicating that, maybe we can start to open up some other people's hearts. And that if we look at it, consciousness over, who knows, how many lifetimes we incarnate in different forms, only God knows, to get us to a place where we're better, you know what I mean? Then every person we touch, we have an opportunity to share with them and rub up against their consciousness and maybe get raised some. Do you follow me? Or bring someone up.
Right. Well,
there's a movie coming up now.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Please.
I was just gonna. I'll finish with, the movie "It's a Wonderful Life," Francis Ford Coppola. They're on the holidays, and
should be one of my favorites.
Jimmy Stewart and right. And isn't that the whole theme of the movie? Isn't it? I mean, we never know who we touch along the way. Sure. And it's a fabulous theme when you think about it. I feel that way.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. Yes. Sure. Phantomas, you can unmute yourself anytime if you want. You're a speaker.
I was just listening. That's what I was doing right now.
All good. Just want to let you know.
But my thing is that I think that because we're stacked with so many problems, we've lost the ability to focus on one particular problem at a time. And when we have all of these problems coming at us.
Uh-oh.
Still there? You cut out, Phantomas. Maybe
Siri doesn't like Phantomas.
I don't know.
That app crashed on me. That wasn't me.
Oh no! Oh, well,
I've noticed it happens on a few people before. So
okay. So what were you saying?
But so I was just saying that we have so many problems and they're overwhelming us that it's hard for us to focus, and we're going to have to start making decisions pretty soon. What's the number one problem we want to take care of? What's the fastest we can do it at, and work it that way? Because, like I said, there's just so much coming at us right now that we need to start. We need to start focusing on something. When I'm looking at people talk about Ryan Grimm for 5 or 10 hours, I'm like, no. After a while, we have to say bye. We have to say bye to that. We have as much as I want to talk about one personality over again.
Right.
There's just too much at stake.
Right.
There's this guy that really that's really inspired me on TikTok. His name is Peter Bond. I'm going to shout him out now. Okay. And he actually spends his paycheck on going up to homeless people and talking to them directly.
Oh, I've watched clips from that. Sorry.
Yeah, and he spends like $500 per person. And one of the things interesting is he hands them a letter. And usually the money isn't what's important. What's important is he just witnessed them, he viewed them, and he saw them, and he just decided to talk to them.
For real. Yeah.
And the other thing that's interesting is they'll hold on to, a lot of these people will hold on to these letters when he does an update with them, and they'll say, this letter kept me going. I'm about to go look for a job. I'm about to. So it's those types of things that we need to be more aware of in our area, in our community, that we need to be more open towards. And I think that's one of the places we can start at, with just random people all over the place who have been forgotten or distraught, no matter where they are, to just do simple things like that.
Yeah. I want to jump in real quick. I forgot in the beginning of the show, I was talking about people referencing the shittiness of humans, right? And I just read this post by a friend of mine on Facebook this morning. It was really a great post. And he said, I imagine if I got to heaven, it would be ruined because of all the humans that were already there. And I was like, that's funny. But then later in the end of the post, he's like, if you're having a bad time, the first thing you should do is help someone else, and that'll get you out of your funk immediately. And I was like, oh yeah. And I mean, that just what you were just talking about, Phantomas, is kind of like that. I guess that's the highest form, or William, when you were referencing love, right? Like, we all know what love is, or what it feels like, or what it looks like sometimes, and right, like maybe that's the highest goal, and maybe we never achieve it, and maybe sometimes we achieve it, and maybe 20% of the time we achieve it, who knows? But like, maybe that's the only point. I have no idea, but it doesn't seem, even all the love in the world may not save us, right? Even all the going out and loving on people is not going to change, the bastards. But like, whatever,
Probably try all defense contracts and funnel that money to all of our projects.
Right. Right. How do you change
There
it?
you
Yeah.
go.
How do you change that? How do you can you go to the Department of Defense and go, you know what, guys? I feel like there could be really better ways to spend our time. Right?
I sent them an email.
You sent them an email.
Yeah.
What did you say, or what did they say?
I told them the same stuff I tell you, and they didn't say anything.
Right. They know because they know.
They absolutely said nothing.
Because they know that they're wrong, that they're on the wrong side of humanity.
They absolutely know.
You're right. They know that. It's funny, like when people do crappy things, and they refuse to acknowledge that they just did something really crappy, right? Like people that won't apologize, they do something real nasty. And they absolutely know what they did. But they can't, I feel like that right there is hell. Like that's hell. That's the living embodiment of hell. Like if you're doing something crappy, nasty, destructive to humans or the planet, and you're doing that. There's no like, oh, I was just made a mistake. It's an accident. No, you're doing that. That's hell. You're in hell. You're going to hell, and you're in hell right now. Like,
I agree.
Good luck with you. Good luck to you. Right? Maybe you can snap out of it before you leave this mortal coil. I don't know.
And some of them think that they're stuck because they feel like they have their finger. At least from my experiences with people along the way, and I've known some in the defense, but it's like they have a finger in the dike, and if they pull out the big finger, it all falls apart. And they really believe that.
Mm-hmm.
They really believe that.
They think that, yeah, if I'm standing in the breach. Maybe
Or
the
organization is. Yeah.
Right. Maybe they feel like what they're doing is the highest that they can do. Maybe they feel like, for lack of a better phrase, it's God's work or whatever. Maybe they feel like, well, this is maybe they feel like that's how they show love.
That's
Right.
the thing.
I love
that's evil's
I love
greatest
America,
trick.
right? Well, what kind of unspeakable atrocities have been done in the name of Jesus Christ or whatever your religion is, right? Like, you can twist anything into something that allows you to do what you're doing. But, I think at the end of the day, I think you're wrong.
That's the real Tower of Babel, isn't it? Where you really are so duped with all the talk and all the beliefs, the language becomes, that you don't know what you're doing, whether it's good or bad in the end.
Right.
And yeah.
All right, guys, this has been interesting, but I do have to go. But I appreciate y'all jumping in. We did it. We did like a panel, and I think it was successful. But I'm glad you guys.
Can I ask you guys a question before you hang up, Kevin?
Sure.
Fantomas was asking, "What do you do? Is there a way we can participate on a message board, like a communal board, with ideas on what to do with things like materials, with dirt, with cooling, with heating, and we can keep that updated, and that way it's just there. Is there a way to do that with the apps?"
Let me think on that. I know that there's a way. There are ways out there. I actually have a blackbearnews.org and .com websites that I've never set up. So what would be really cool is if there was like a Black Bear News website where like a message board website. Like I probably couldn't, make it too fancy, but I mean, I know my way around websites,
something?
but I could probably do that. I just have to sit down and do that, right? So
It can't be a forum. It has to be a community center now. It has an actual physical community center, Black Bear News Community Center.
Yeah, sure. It has to. Yeah, community center and tool loaning shop. Okay, something like that. I don't know. Whatever.
That would be a start.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
would be a start. I should probably do. I keep thinking about that every one, every month or so. I'm like, I have that website, that domain name. I should make a website where people can leave comments or talk to each other, blah blah blah. But I just, I keep
Well,
getting
I'd
carried
gladly
away in
volunteer
the.
to help you
Yeah. Okay.
with
Well.
that. I'm not a web guy, but
Yeah.
I'm tech proficient.
Well, I have a little bit of proficiency, but I have to just explore, how. I just need to, it's one of those things that just takes a couple hours to sit down and like poke around and figure it out. So I'll do it. I'll do it. We'll make it a not New Year's resolution. Okay.
Very cool. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. For maybe we'll do it again next week, or we'll try. I can't promise anything though, because next week is going to be crazy. I just have to let you know that next week is going to be very, very rough. So more things will get more back to normal following December about 18th or 19th or so. So, all right, guys. Thanks so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. Thanks for hanging out every day again. I forgot. I did get some Rockfin tips. Denver Attaway, thank you. Disgruntled Andy, thank you for the Rockfin tips. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to check up on the coffees. Didn't get any coffees today, but that's a good place to support the show. buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews. All right. Thanks, everyone, and peace out.